there's this saying that goes that that girl always has that one guy ready in the back pocket.
It was not like that.
It's never like that. It's never.
Who told you this? You said there's a saying. What's this saying? Who came up with
I've
this
heard
saying?
from it from other girls.
I'm not laughing because of what you said, but it's actually how it happened.
Oh, bro! What did I say? What? Bro, come on!
On the track.
Welcome to the Common Podcast, where we speak upon common sense and realize it really isn't that common. Guys, we have somebody back. For the first time, this is the first time that someone has came back to the show, and we're going to jump right into it. Veronica, what's up? This time, hold on. This time, we got Justin.
Yeah, and I would disagree with that statement that this is the first time that somebody's come back.
Who's come
Because
back?
I've been here several times.
Oh my gosh.
Don't get
But
annoyed.
you're the co-host, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I've been back.
Yes.
Yeah.
But technically, you have a permanent seat.
Yeah, for sure. Where was I leading with this? Justin, who has been vacant for 2 weeks. We need to get mad at him, guys.
My bad.
We need to get mad
I
at
was
him.
adulting. I took a solo trip to find myself.
Mental health.
Legitimately, seriously, mental health. I took a trip to go and find myself again, and then last Tuesday I filed taxes. So
Yeah.
which I highly recommend. Today's the 17th, right? No, yes, it's too late to file taxes, so you're probably gonna go to jail.
And that's because they extended.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So why did you wait so long?
Because
You're a procrastinator.
Yeah. Who isn't? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Before we continue, you already know the fee. Make sure y'all like the video or audio. Subscribe if you haven't already. And if you need any merch, the links to our socials, Justin and I, will be in the description. Message us and we'll hook you up with some merch.
Hook you up.
Yeah. But so the reason why we really brought Veronica back onto the show is because we felt like people were left on a huge cliffhanger, especially when we started talking about a lot of big topics like mental health. We just kind of brushed through it. Trials and tribulations here or there. We just kind of brushed through everything. And we really want to dive in. Well, and in reality, the people really wanted for us to dive in to more in those topics. So, yeah.
Already.
Yeah. So basically, do you have any questions for Justin?
No,
right
starting
the bat?
off, I think I just want to say welcome back, and it takes a lot of courage to try to come back, and knowing that you're gonna walk into like actually being vulnerable to this. So I really appreciate it because it's not easy. So I want to make that very clear. It's not easy to talk about things like this, but it is going to help people who are listening who have been through even just a fraction of similar circumstance that you have been. So.
Well, I kind of mentally prepared myself for this. So.
Super good. Super good.
Yeah. So we talked about that a little bit before the show, is that something that Justin and I have really come into terms with is not really worrying about the consequence of our own personal, what we're going to endure in exchange for how many people that we can impact that are listening.
Yep.
Because Justin was opening up right before the show about the Born Gay podcast, how that has affected him personally in his relationships with some of his family members. But him being vulnerable also resulted in a lot more messages coming in thanking him for his bravery. That is what we try to do on the show. We try to be extremely vulnerable to help those people out that are struggling, don't really want to talk about it. That's what the show is all about. Let's bring those to light.
Yeah.
So yeah, you touched a little bit about the whole divorce thing, and I kind of want to pick that up because that's going to be a tough one to talk about, but I think that's going to be a great icebreaker to really get vulnerable. So I don't know if you want to start from the beginning of that. Were you into any type of because we're going to brush on the social media thing too. Were you into any social media in that part of your life?
Yeah, I guess I really, well, obviously, since I got social media, I was used to posting everything, where I go, what I'm feeling, whatever. So I was always used to social media.
You were social, I guess you can say.
Yeah. I know I mentioned on the previous podcast that, I was an introvert.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, yes, I'm social too.
You're social.
Yeah.
I would say you're not an introvert though. I would challenge. I think you're very outgoing.
I got told that. I'm like, I got told you're not an introvert.
Yeah, I don't think so. I was thinking about that as watching the podcast. Like, I think you're very extroverted. If anything, you have a great personality, and you're not afraid to.
And for the most part, you probably, if you legitimately are an introvert, you probably worked really hard on yourself to be not socially anxious. But from what I've seen and from the conversation I had with Roger, I don't think that you're an introvert. Yeah, I think that you are an extrovert who is not yet self-aware completely of being vulnerable to talk about their personal circumstances.
That's pretty much spot on.
But if we have a conversation and we just ask like, where do you work? And we have very basic conversations, like how we did before the show started. You were very open. You were on, and this is the first time I'm meeting you. You were super like open and awesome and just like super like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
But as soon as like at least as far as the podcast that I saw, you were like, yeah, no, totally, yeah. And then as soon as it got to like too personal, you'd be like, yeah, I went through that. And then you would like change the subject. So like, I think you're an extrovert, but I don't think that you're completely, I mean, if I'm being honest, I don't think you're completely honest and with yourself. I think that you need to tell yourself that it's okay to be honest with yourself, even if you don't claim it out here. Like, even if you don't say anything about your personal life, know that it's okay to be vulnerable and for yourself, and to admit to yourself, like, you know what, I'm feeling this way. I'm going through this, and I'm just gonna I'm gonna admit it. And because you, every single time that something was brought up, you immediately shut yourself down and change the subject.
Do you think that's in fear of what people are gonna think of you, like perception? Because I have somebody near and dear to me that struggles with that. Like, they would much rather lie about something that they went through because they're scared of their own image being corrupted rather than what it can actually do, because we're all human. Yeah. We're all going to mess up. We're all going to, in a spiritual sense, we're all going to sin. And we can all, in reality, we all struggle with very similar things, but it's a matter of us coming out and talking about it.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And
I also feel like that's part of the process of healing, is that you can't really hold anything. The more you hold, or like, you know, kind of step back when things are kind of like getting not personal, but like, you know, to where you have to express your feelings like truthfully, then I don't think that there's anything wrong with holding anything in, because it's part of the grieving process of whatever it is that you're going through. Like, if tomorrow my mom, dad, brother, sister died, I'm not going to want to talk to anybody for a very long time. But at some point, in order for my health to get better, I'm going to have to express how I feel, because it's only going to build up, and I'm going to build hatred and anger and things like that have nothing to do with no one but the fact that I'm just holding things in. So if you feel like it's time for you to open up, then perfectly, like, absolutely great. But also know that it's not wrong for you to hold something in just a little bit longer. So like, I know I'm kind of contradicting myself, but I want you to know that like self-awareness is super important during this process, from at least what I've heard of you going through, because it's not a child problem. This is like the problems that I heard you go through. There's very adult problems, and so they take adult steps to be able to go through that. So. Yeah,
and there's also the sense that you can't tell everybody your problems either.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. And so like that's why it's very brave to do it on a show. Like, so like I can see how some people are like, maybe they feel uncomfortable at first, but the whole point of the show is to be vulnerable. But you also have to, going back, like, you have to be careful who you tell, because there's some people that are just collecting ammo to shoot you in the foot.
Right. Which is why I don't know what it is, but something about telling a complete stranger about how you feel. Yeah. Okay. So like, to be super vulnerable, like right here, and just to open it up, when I was struggling with suicide, I didn't know where to turn to. I didn't know who to go to. Yeah. And I found out there was a suicide hotline.
Oh yeah.
So I called it. And I'll never forget. I'm not going to say the girl's name, but this girl answered, and I, like, to this day remember her name. And I expressed everything how I felt. And to hear a stranger tell me back, your life matters, or like to hear a stranger have a positive feedback to what you're saying and all you're saying is negative, it helps.
Yeah.
The fact of like, why do you care who I am? Like, why do you care about what I'm going through? But to just like, it really does help to have a stranger talk to them, because I guarantee you, unless you're talking to like Hitler, who's a stranger, like they're not going to be like super shameful of you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if you go up to just a complete random stranger, they're going to be like, hey, you know what? It's okay. Like if you need help, contact me. Or if you need, like, it's super beneficial.
Yeah, and you know that they're not gonna tell anybody that you know
Right.
too.
Well, exactly.
Exactly.
And, like, okay, they're gonna tell someone that they know, but like you don't know them. Like,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, for sure. Because if you tell your brother, you tell your sister, like there's that fear that they're gonna tell the rest of the family.
More than likely
like,
everything. Yeah, it's all gonna get told.
Real quick, Enrique, can you look up the suicide hotline just so we can plug that in?
Oh yeah, please.
Yeah. So as he's doing that, Veronica, how long ago was your divorce?
So this coming June, which is next month, I will complete 2 years.
2 years.
Okay.
Of being divorced.
Okay. How long were you married?
Before the divorce became legal, because we were separated for like a few months, and then until the divorce became legal. It was a month before we hit our 5-year mark. Married.
Okay.
Oh wow, 5
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. It was 5 years. And I think we were together for 2 years.
2 years.
2 years
So
before.
total like 7 years.
Interesting.
Yeah. About.
So during those 2 years, did you guys live together?
No.
No. Okay.
No. We kind of. It was kind of like fast. The whole process. It was really fast because well, obviously I was living here. It was a long distance relationship. Well, he was living here while we were dating, but he moved to another city, so we were long distance for a while. And it wasn't until like it was like a hey, come up here, we'll get married and we'll start our life.
That's what y'all did.
And yeah, like as soon as I got off the plane, like no,
No,
You can cut.
no shit.
yeah.
Real quick, 1-800 what?
It's 1-800-273-8255.
I highly recommend calling that number if you guys need help for anything, any sort. I just actually recently talked to a friend and told them that I had contacted that number, and they were like, "Oh, me too," and it's super, like it helped a lot. I don't know if anybody in here can relate, but I guarantee you it'll help you rethink your mindset. So just to throw that out there. So if you're struggling, call that number or call one of us, because we'll help you out.
I'm gonna say it in better audio. 1-800-273-8255. 1-800-273-8255. If y'all are struggling and y'all need some help, that is the suicide prevention hotline. Go check it out. So back to your story.
Oh yes. So I was saying, like, it literally happened fast. Like I arrived. It was in El Paso. I arrived there. 4 days later, we were engaged, and then 2 days later, we were married. So it was like right away.
I'm just gonna throw that out there. Do you think that might have been a part of the problem in the divorce and in the relationship itself? Was rushing into it like that?
I think we got married for all the wrong reasons.
Okay. And what were those reasons though?
I think it was just like how do I say it? Like it was, we both. Well, I mean, I knew it wasn't like truthful. Like we didn't have a truthful relationship because I was like already aware of like, you know, what he was doing as we were separate or like long distance. But yet I still like, you know, brushed those red flags away, and I was like,
did you think that getting married was gonna like overcome that or what?
oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
yes. There was plenty of times where I'm like, okay, well maybe if we do this, he's gonna change.
Yeah,
Maybe
no.
if this happens, he's gonna change, but
Labels don't change
never.
anything. Yeah.
And it was, and also too, like before I even moved, before I left here, like the valley, like I had a lot of people telling me like, don't do it, like you don't know what you're getting yourself into. And that, but me, like, you know, being young and in love, I was like, nah, I know what I'm doing.
Okay, so to the most important question probably to that whole scenario, have you learned from that? Like,
Still learning.
okay, still learning, but I'm saying like in the future, let's say you start talking to this guy, whether it's long distance or not. once you start seeing those red flags, are you going to repeat history? No. Okay, so you've learned from that.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
That's a lot. It's a lot harder to do than to say, though.
Right, exactly.
Because in reality, your personality can be is that like you like to rush things. You fall in love and you want to rush it, like, well, let's move in together and stuff like that. So those things that you already know, you have to constantly be reminding yourself, right? And I'm not just because I've never been through that divorce or anything like that. So, but I'm saying like in other habits that I've had or anything like that, you have to constantly remind yourself, like, okay, I don't want to go through the same mistakes. So I have to remind myself of these red flags so I don't fall into the same
And that's
trap.
why I'm really glad that we got into this conversation, because I can ask you, like, whether you ignore them or not, you're aware now these red flags don't just mean that they're just red flags. They mean that this can possibly lead into a marriage and a divorce, or like into a very great relationship and then find out that I'm being backstabbed. And I think that a lot of people watching can relate to that, because I think a lot of men and women, boys and girls, will like have the red flags and be like, no, well, I love him.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, no, you deserve better than that. You deserve so much more. You deserve you should have so much more self-respect to say, you know what, I should not be treated this way. You know what I'm saying?
And you know, sadly, like, I was telling myself that I'm like, you know what, like, I don't deserve this. I'm a good person. I have a good heart. Why am I putting myself through this misery? But
Ignorance
I
is
couldn't
bliss.
find a way out.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't find myself to have the courage enough to say, you know what, I want a divorce. Like, I didn't have the strength to be like.
Also, this was while y'all were married.
Did you feel that way
Before,
before you
that's
guys
what I
got
was-
married?
I
You
guess-
had to
I
have
guess
if
it
the
goes
red
back
flags popped up.
to me thinking like, oh, okay, like if we get married,
Things
are gonna change.
Things are gonna change.
But no.
So I'm guessing he's the one who made it official. I want a divorce, since you didn't have the courage enough to do it, or what did that
Or
come
did
from
you
you?
end up doing it?
What do you mean?
So, like, did you end up coming out to say, you know what, I want a divorce?
Oh,
Or
no,
was he the one that
was
approached
He
you?
was the one.
He
Okay.
was the one that approached it.
And so, what was your reaction to
I was
that?
about to say, in that moment, how does that feel?
Were you relieved at that
when
point?
when I heard the words like I want a divorce, well, that's the thing, and that's another thing too. Throughout our marriage, like with the many problems that we were going through, he said it several times, like, you know, we need a divorce. I don't want to be with you. You know, whatever. And then, like, you know, 2 days later, we like totally forget that we even mentioned that word.
That's
And
like a harmful word in marriage, though, because as soon as
I
you start
agree.
throwing that word around, then
It gets in your
immediately
head.
not only is it in your mindset, but it's in the other person's mindset.
Yeah.
And now, when anything goes south, they're like, "Oh, divorce!" Like divorce. And each argument, the idea gets easier, and it sounds so much more better. And you're like, "Okay, well, you know what? Like, I never have to deal with this again."
Yeah.
So that's it. I never ever recommend using the word divorce in a marriage.
I don't recommend attacking the constitution of marriage ever, because it's not okay to attack the person, right? But if you get upset with the person, you say something stupid, you all can always work that out. But once you start to attack the constitution of marriage, then that's when divorce really starts to become more of a possible thing.
Mind you, we're not saying how things should have gone. We're just, I'm just saying, like, being married, and I know that Roger, like, with Roger being married, I think that, like, going through, and I'm a human being. I'm like, I've had thoughts of, like, if all of this had never happened, this would be so much easier.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But at the end of the day, you're like, you know what? This is a commitment. Like, this is not a boyfriend girlfriend scenario, or even a fiance scenario. Like, you can just end it. So, like, again, I go to you and say and ask, do you think in, like, the future, should you get into, let's say, engagement, do you think that as soon as you start experiencing those red flags, do you personally think, even in the mindset that you are now, because it's still pretty fresh, I'm guessing.
Yes,
2 years.
I'm still like,
Yeah, I mean, to me, I would that'd be tough. I think that so do you think that you would react off of emotion and be like, you know what, no, I'm gonna give this a second try, so that since it didn't work the first time? Do you think that you would react off emotion, or do you think now, after that experience and being through the mental trauma and emotional trauma, that you would try to do things different?
I would definitely try to do things different.
Yeah.
Like if my next relationship and we date for a good amount of years and then the engagement pops up or whatever, and say I start seeing the same red flags, or even not necessarily the red flags I saw before, but like new red flags.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
definitely be like, oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
I don't think my how do I say it, mental state can handle it again.
Okay. Again, I say I'm not a therapist, but I think what's going to be super, super important from here up until then is that you focus on none of that but yourself. And focus on the fact that you knew that like the hardest part for you was to say I want a divorce. I guarantee you that established even before you guys got married, and it was like I'm afraid to, because you said like, oh well, when we get married this will change. It shouldn't have come to that point. You should have been like, you're doing this, like you're doing X, Y, and Z. You know what? I'm better than that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I think that that's the part that you need to focus on when you move on and move forward, and then be like, okay, I'm in a newly relationship. And then as soon as you start to see X part like come up that is equivalent to the, your ex-husband, then you can be like, okay, red flag. And then you can immediately just question them about it. You have to have communication. You have to have self-confidence, self-awareness, and you have to be vulnerable, but also have some walls up for yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, be very protective of yourself, because you deserve overall, and everyone deserves so much more and better than that.
Yeah. Well, not just yourself either, because you do have a daughter, right?
Yeah.
You have a daughter, so you have to take that into consideration.
Okay.
Your family. I don't think just focusing on yourself, but just don't focus on, like, don't put all your eggs in one basket immediately when you meet some guy. Like, focus on your circle rather. You know what I mean? Like, focus on your family, focus on the people that really do matter, because those are the ones that are going to be with you at the very end of the day. Also, I think what's going to be tough is that ignorance is very, very bliss. And that's what the problem was in the beginning. It's like, I see all these red flags, but when I'm with him and things are good, it feels super good. So I don't want to ruin that. So that can be an issue in the next relationship. It's like, well, when we go on dates, it's just so amazing and blah, blah, blah. But he doesn't let me look at his phone, and he's very sneaky and like this and that. But when we're together, he seems very genuine, right?
Yeah.
Stuff like
Okay.
that.
Okay. So I'm gonna continue to rewind just for a second, and then I'll fast forward into like past all of that. Okay. But do you think that there's a internal problem from like your past that led you up to mentally think like, oh, it'll be okay if I do this, like if I'm married? Like, did you have like a mom and dad who like fought, and your mom would like sacrifice, like if I just do this, then it'll make everything okay and better? Or like vice versa? Like, did you have some sort of maybe traumatic experience that, like, going back, like if you really think about it, I think that there's like things like that are toxic, and you know that are toxic. Like, you knew for a fact he's doing all these red flags. Okay, and then you ignore it and say, well, if I do this, then it'll be okay to do this.
Yeah.
And then being married, then say, well, I can't do divorce because I don't have that confidence. Do you think that might have come from something deeper when you were younger?
Like, an example is like someone who, like, let's say your parents, like they were in a very abusive relationship, right? I'm just saying. But let's say your mom stuck it out, and you're thinking in your head like, well, if she stuck it out, I wouldn't be where I was at, so I have to stick it out for my daughter.
Yeah.
So you deal with
Or
those
like,
things.
I watched her suffer,
Yeah.
so that way she could do her best to make like the family happy.
Yeah.
Or like, even in general, like let's say you don't have a daughter, you would say, okay, well, I'm going to suffer to make this work because I'm actually into this. Actually watching that happen is going to create that exact same mindset, and you're going to be like, it's okay that I'm in a toxic relationship because that's all I know. So you know what, no matter what, I'm going to make it happen because that's what I know to be okay.
And you know what, to be honest, like I honestly think that was a big factor in why I put up with it for so long, because I saw my mom go through the exact same thing that I was going through in my marriage. And I was like, well, you know what? My mom stuck it through and like not put up with it, but like obviously like, she stayed with my dad throughout everything.
Your parents are married still?
Legally, yes, but they are separated.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Same.
actually very common.
Same. Yeah.
That's very common. I have a few friends that like their parents are.
Yeah. And I
Because marriage is complicated, you know. To get
Super
divorced
complicated.
is complicated, especially when you're in 30 years deep, 20 years deep.
Oh, yeah.
And it can get complicated.
Did you realize that up until this conversation? Like, were you aware and just try to like
no.
hide it?
About what?
Like being aware that it would be a past issue.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
were you aware that, like, oh, it's probably because I watched
My mom go
my
through it.
mom and dad grow up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you were already aware of it.
Yes.
Okay, so you obviously like shoved it down deep inside,
Yeah.
and was like, and then you were like, anything you can do, I can do better, kind of thing. Like you were like, hey, like, you know what? I'm gonna be different. I'm gonna be the one to make it work. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess
And then-
I saw it in a way like I made a commitment.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna continue fighting until either it's really to the point where we need to divorce or he doesn't.
Mm.
Yeah, because I'm for that. I'm not for divorce,
Neither.
right? I'm not for divorce. What I'm for is prevention of divorce. So the problem wasn't.
I'm for divorce in the correct circumstances.
My problem is what happened before. Like you were saying, you saw the red flags before. You went and got married really quick. Like all of that could have prevented the divorce, or like you could have broke it off before the divorce.
Right.
So I'm gonna have a conversation with Roger real quick because I'm gonna side with you right now. Okay, so just a conversation I want to have with you right now. Something that I can honestly say from witnessing married.
I already
couples
know
and
what you're
things
gonna
like that.
say. Yeah.
I think that I would agree with marriage in the circumstance of like cheating. And to me, from like listening to her circumstance, he basically cheated on her without cheating on her. So he didn't have to sleep with a woman.
Yeah. Well, we don't even know her full story.
Right, we don't, and I would love to. So let's just say let's just say in a world
Yeah.
where he didn't cheat on her, or like physically,
Yeah.
but he was mentally already out of the marriage, had already given up. In my personal opinion, that's worthy of divorce.
Yeah. So my foundation of marriage comes from God and
Right.
the religious side.
Right, that's in the Bible.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
that is why the commitment for me is a lot higher. I mean, isn't to say that it's not okay, but like it's well, I guess you can say it's okay.
Frowned upon,
No, it's okay to get a divorce if there is
adultery.
yes,
or-
exactly.
Yeah.
Right? That's the
Yeah.
case. Then yeah, sure. But my case is like my foundation of marriage is the religious aspect. So whatever religion whatever Christianity says is
And see, I think
Ago?
it's a good thing that you think that way, but also, like, what about the marriages who aren't religious? Like, I still believe that marriages overall should be the statement of commitment. You know what I'm saying? Like, it has nothing to do with, like, because I mean, we have to make the statement. It has nothing to do with whether or not you believe in God, because if you're gonna say take the time to make vows to a person and say, I'm committed to you for the rest of my life, no matter what, like, that should be unbreakable.
yeah. Well, to be fair, I'm not a marriage therapist.
Right. Well, obviously, neither am I.
I'm not a marriage therapist, but I'm just saying
No.
what my
No,
foundation.
I
Yeah.
understand. I'm just saying, like, it's good to talk about all foundations because, like, what happens when two people who aren't believers in God get into an argument and we're like, all right, let's get divorced, which is probably a lot of people.
Yeah, and then that
So what happens then?
well,
you know?
that's on them. That's none of my business.
But like it should, like I think that marriage shouldn't be an institution of religion. I think marriage should be, because it's gonna be a thing until Earth explodes. Like, it's gonna be forever.
Yeah.
Whether it's a guy on guy, girl on girl, man on girl, like, it's always gonna be a thing. So like I really, really, really believe that there needs to be an establishment.
I understand what you're saying.
Unless there's, like, unfortunately, a case where the person, I say mentally excludes themselves, because I mean, people mentally exclude themselves all the time in marriage, but unless that person basically mentally cheats on you, whether it's thinking about other girls or men, or is like, you know what, like I'm done, I'm cut out, and I'm just gonna go through life. Like,
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, I really do. But in a secular sense, like, okay, well, in any sense, I believe that God created marriage.
okay,
So there's nothing out of that constitution that I agree with.
right, but you have to think about other people.
No, but God created.
You have to be aware
if,
that other people are
if,
watching.
if it's not through God, for me, it's not marriage. So I don't have
marriage if
yeah,
it's not through God.
yeah, I don't have a say.
No.
I don't have a say on anything else.
No, I think there's something beautiful about someone making the commitment till death do I part. Like, God or not. I mean, I'm a Christian. Let's make that very clear. I'm not trying to argue with the fact of like, you're wrong, God's not real. No, I believe in God. But to me, marriage is still like a very stern incident. Like you have to, what was that?
No, that was that one.
You have to like sign a paper to make it legal through the
Yeah, that's
state.
not marriage to me. No.
It's not marriage to you. Okay.
This is,
Like,
Wow.
what do you mean? Like, signing on paper, like saying you're legally married, like that?
yeah, like
not-
for me, marriage
If
is
If it's not through God, that's nothing.
yeah to me.
Well, to the government.
Yeah, to the government. To the
Right?
government.
Yeah.
Oh, do you agree with that?
You don't have to agree.
I-
Don't because just because it's my show, you don't.
Team.
Just because you're not. Just because it's my show, you don't have to agree.
Yeah,
with
you
me.
don't have to agree.
Yeah, yeah.
And you don't have to agree with me.
Well, I
But
mean,
you have to agree
from
with
my
me.
experience, I mean, you can sign saying, "Hey, I'm gonna fully commit to this person," but really, it's just a piece of paper.
Exactly.
Right. No, I totally agree. I'm just saying that that you would agree with that statement. But like everyone would agree, like it shouldn't be that way. Like divorce is wrong, and that's kind of what I'm saying. But
Yeah.
also, marriage has become something that's only a religious thing, and it shouldn't be that way. Because when people are like, "I'm gonna get married to you," it's no longer a thought of like a system and an establishment of like I'm gonna honor you till the day that I die. It's become like a dude, like we'll get great taxes and like or like hey
It's a monogamous thing too.
yeah, and like or like we'll just have a great life and see where it goes from there.
No, I understand. I
Yeah.
understand. But I'm just saying, from my personal beliefs, I don't see that as marriage.
I think
so.
well I think that it should, and I think that it could change. I think that it really could. I think that once people get into, because right now all that people are caring about is this is fun, you know. I think once people get into the establishment of no, this is real.
Yeah. So
This is real.
divorce rates are increasing, right? Would
Are
you
they?
look it up? Are divorced? Look up a divorce, and let's just say it is, right? And we can see how the government trying to take God out of everything. They took it out of school. They took it out of the police cars. They're starting to try to separate religion from our daily lives, right? Would you agree? And if divorce is increasing with that, I mean, we can see a direct correlation or an indirect correlation.
Okay, so going to your answer, I'm going to challenge you again.
Okay.
So like your answer was, I don't think just signing a paper constitutes as marriage. Did you think that it did when you signed?
Yes. I
Okay.
guess.
So did it only change because of what he did?
Yes.
Okay, so then that's the problem. You have to be self-aware to find the person that thinks the same way you do when you get married. So it does mean that it is marriage
Yeah.
and that it's an establishment and it's a commitment for life. So
Yeah.
that's, you were all in. You put all in, like your chips were all in.
Yeah. I mean, as
But
soon
he
as
put
I-
in like, I don't know, $1.
Mhm.
So like, I really think that having conversations with like these type of people that are like, no, well, it doesn't really mean anything. It really does, because at least one person at the time is committed. There's always just one person. It takes two people for a breakup. There's
Yeah.
always, there's a conflict, but there's always one person to get the ball rolling. And when I say that, I mean when it comes to marriage, because I guarantee you, when you guys signed that paper, he was like, yeah, it'll be super fun, or like, this is gonna be great.
Mm-hmm.
You know, until this day, like I kind of like question myself, like what was in his mind when he said the vows, because like vows.
Hey,
Because when I said them, like
By a vow.
yeah, exactly. That's what I thought I said. when I said my vows, like I meant them, and I know, like
I
this
teared
is
up.
a serious thing. Like I'm gonna commit my
Okay,
my
so
entire
then,
life. To
so then
this.
now could you say that signing a paper does mean something?
No.
Oh, it still doesn't.
No.
Oh, interesting.
Because obviously, like I took it serious, but obviously he didn't.
Right, but that has nothing to do with the legal document that you wrote. That has something to do with y'all's personal relationship. So if you wouldn't have rushed it and said, hey, you know what? I'm going to fly off and we're going to get married, and been like, hey, let's do it.
Yeah.
You're saying the document was invalid, but the relationship was valid. Even though you rushed it.
No, I knew the relationship wasn't valid.
Okay, but you went ahead and signed a valid document. But now, being in the situation that you're in, you're saying that the document is no longer valid because of the situation that you put you. Okay. 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 Well,
I see where he's going, but
you put yourself into a situation where you were like, and I'm gonna quote you. It just happened so fast.
We'll also use another quote where she said that she thought that getting married would change everything.
And you thought getting married would change everything.
Yeah.
So you're going to go into something that's supposed to be a very adult, very, very serious thing that's supposed to be committed, religious, God or not.
Yeah.
I'm going to make this step. Knowing that I'm in the relationship that I'm in right now. And I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it and hope that it changes.
That's exactly what I did.
So you did.
Yeah.
So then you went and did it. You signed the paper. And then it didn't work out, even though you hoped that it would.
Yeah.
Because he didn't change.
Yeah.
Because you didn't stay with him long enough, or you didn't actually establish the relationship enough to know, oh, he's not going to change, so he's probably not worth getting married to.
Yeah.
But instead now you're saying that, well, the relationship was invalid, but because the marriage certificate didn't work the way that I wanted it to, that's no longer valid either.
Are you getting what he's saying? What he's saying, let me try to dumb it down even more.
Okay.
Not that you're dumb. That's not what I try to look. Check it out.
The viewers will understand.
Check it out. So when you thought that getting married will fix all your problems, that means that you in fact did think that signing that paper was valid.
Oh, yeah.
But now that it hasn't worked out, now you're saying it's invalid.
Yeah.
You see the problem in that though?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all you have to say, Justin.
I was trying to figure out, like, I even broke down, I said, the relationship was bad. You want to get married.
He's very
It ended
detailed.
up bad.
Very detailed.
Didn't work out.
Here's the problem here. Urchin, dolphin.
Okay.
You're not going to know what that means, but
Yeah.
Okay. That makes
our day one viewers will know what that means.
Okay.
Urchin, dolphin.
Okay.
Anyways, real quick, what are the rates on that divorce?
It actually said that the divorce rate it dropped.
Dropped?
Like, it's
And
very low.
from
What's
what
the-
time? Yeah, from what time to what time?
They said from 19 years into like 2010 to 19.8 years in 2019. So yeah.
I have no idea.
I don't know what he
he
said.
said?
I'm reading from there, bro.
All right, so it's saying that overall it has decreased. So
Okay.
very slightly, but it has decreased.
So you were wrong.
So I was wrong. Yeah, it happens, you know. But I still stick by my, my beliefs. So
No, that's
Yeah.
cool. That's cool.
okay. So what were we talking about just now before that? About okay.
A little blonde moment there.
No, you're good. We were just saying, like, you thought it was gonna work. You thought the document was gonna work before, so you went with that plan, even knowing that it was a troubled situation.
Yeah.
Then you did it. It didn't work out. So now you're essentially saying that document didn't work because your relationship didn't.
Okay, so this is gonna be a question that you're gonna have to ask yourself. I'm asking you right now, but you're gonna have to really ask yourself. Do you blame him for the divorce, or do you blame yourself for the divorce?
Ooh.
Now talking about all of that, what we just talked about. Because
I
initially,
say both.
okay,
It's a good answer.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a safe answer.
'Cause
though.
I
Be like, his ass was just a jerk. That guy. The guy just left his hair all over the sink.
Okay. So before today, though, would you say that you would blame him?
What do you mean before today?
Like before us discussing all this,
Like all these questions, giving you like the hard answers,
giving you a
Or the
different
hard questions.
perspective, or have you always blamed it on both of y'all?
I would blame it on him because of what he did.
His action.
Yes.
That's
Okay.
super valid.
And what honestly made the divorce happen.
Yeah.
But I also blame myself too because there was many chances that I could have gotten out of the relationship and I didn't.
Yeah.
So I say both.
Both. That's a good answer. Now that explaining it more in depth.
Again,
Many times.
Again, I don't know you, but I'm super proud of you for actually coming out and saying that because that's a big deal.
Mhm.
And I hope and pray that you use that in your next like relationships and even with like family members. Like if red flags start coming up and they start becoming super toxic,
Divorce your family members.
divorce burn that bridge and never see them again.
Yeah.
No, but like I mean, it's okay to like distance yourself and just practice on building up that wall to say, you know what, I love you and I will always love you. But like instead of you calling me up to talk about horrible things, I'll go and see you for 30 minutes once a week or something and just see how you are. Like
Yeah.
you just create barriers for yourself.
Yeah.
But anyway, super proud of you for coming out and saying that. It's super awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that the divorce has created a lot of luggage that is going to be a tough barrier for people that you will possibly date in the future to break through? Like, do you think you'll be a lot more closed off?
Well, after the divorce, like I had a year to cope with, you know, obviously the heartbreak, the betrayal, the, you know, you name it, I went through it. And I got into a relationship after the year, or like, you know,
Year
half a
later.
year. Yeah. And he is a great guy. He really is. He treated me how like a man should treat a woman. Like he really did. But because of my past relationship, it affected our relationship a lot. Like I was insecure a lot. I needed constant reassurance. I did not have any like, you know, thoughts like, you know, he's cheating on me or anything like that. He was not that type. So I was really thankful for that. But yeah, like how I said, like I needed constant reassurance. I was insecure. I was paranoid. And yes,
You're just scared of being hurt
affected
again.
us. Yeah.
So do you think that you are you in a relationship right now?
No.
No. Okay. So do you think that you're gonna, or do you think that you have been or gonna try to or continue on working on that? Like working on your trust and your self-respect
Yeah.
and like what you deserve and all of that. Do you think that you're going to work on that up until now or up until your next relationship?
I
Or do you think,
definitely have a lot to work on.
as everyone does?
Yeah.
I was just going to say, do you think that you're going to, just like right now, like if tomorrow the man of your dreams comes walking through the door and offers a date, do you think that you will jump in, or are you going to be in the mindset of like, you know what? I think I need a little bit of time for myself before
I definitely need a time for myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't jump in, especially like a new relationship. Like
Yeah.
meeting someone new and
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, being able to have the courage to even pour my heart out to another person.
That's so much emotional investment.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, it's
It's scary.
it's very scary. Well, even with my relationship that I was in, like after the divorce, I knew him for like while I was married. I knew him.
There's this saying that goes that that girl always has that one guy ready in the back pocket.
It was not
It,
like that.
it's never like that.
I
It's
swear
never.
it wasn't like that.
Listen, it's never like that. And then a breakup or a divorce happens, and it's like, hey, you know? It's like a Yu-Gi-Oh card. He just pops it up. Why are you getting red though?
That's like, I mean, I was asking personal questions, but you're like on the sideline calling her out and being like, girl, I
No.
knew you had him all along. Like, what?
No, not saying that like.
That's why she said it's nothing like that.
No, but I'm saying like
Oh my God.
there's a saying that a girl self-consciously knows when somebody's kind of into them, And even though they don't have those feelings back, they know that they can always like resort to that and maybe nurture that.
Who told you this? You said there's a saying. What's this saying? Who came up with
I've
this
heard
saying?
from it from other girls, especially at work. So
Wow, you need to switch out your staff a little bit.
nah, you've never heard it.
I don't think that you did. You're good.
I'm not saying that she was like sneaking around talking to a guy while her husband was out.
Veronica, if you have trouble listening to this,
No,
just
I'm not laughing because of what you said, but it's actually how it happened.
Hold on, bro. What did I say? What? Bro, come on.
that blows my mind, though.
Bro, come on. I've asked multiple women this, and they all said the same thing.
But let's make things clear. As I was married,
You
there
respect
was
it.
no intentions.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not saying that there was like you kept him. So watch it. You better ask your wife, bro.
No, so here,
You better ask.
here's the frustrating part, though.
Yeah.
The roles flipped. Can you imagine if a guy said that? How furious the
A
women
would be.
This is okay. I'm sorry, but that's messed up.
He's hurt.
I'm like, wait. So you're just gonna like on the slide not keep them in your back pocket, but you're gonna be like, you're there, and in case this marriage doesn't work out, you're there. What? That blows my mind. There's like in my head,
It's actually not that malicious though.
I negate
Crazy.
everything I said about marriage.
You
After
would?
hearing, yeah.
You
I'm
know
like,
what?
you know what, marriage? I agree with you. Marriage at this point doesn't mean anything. Knowing that fact. Are you kidding me?
It's not that malicious as you
That's
think.
insane. Are you joking my asshole right now?
Drive home and he's gonna just be like,
My
No.
wife is gonna
Well,
get it.
right? Be like, let me see your phone. No. And I and that's just it. I know that your intention was it. So like, I know that you weren't cheating.
no.
So I know for a fact I couldn't go through my wife's phone and be like, oh, you're cheating.
Exactly.
But the fact that you're gonna mentally be like,
Bro.
to me, that's cheating.
Bro.
I'm sorry, but that's cheating.
Nah, not to me. It's not that malicious as you're thinking
It's
about
not
it.
the fact that you're like, oh, he's into me, and you have this like you're like,
It's not like she was talking to him, texting
doesn't
him. Like
matter. You're like, oh, he's into me.
he like
So
it
the
can
fact-
be this like, oh, he's liking my pictures.
But the fact that you're
Or,
gonna
like,
go to that person right after a breakup or a divorce,
A
you're gonna
year
be like,
later?
hey, I knew you were into me.
No, it's not like that, bro.
Is that what you did?
What?
Thank you. Thank you.
Wait.
Thank you.
Wait.
Thank you.
Hey, bro.
I'm not a water. I need some alcohol. God.
This is getting deep.
The saying is true, bro. Apparently.
Thank you. I've like proved my point, but I'm gonna go home cry. I'm gonna be driving and be like,
Y'all are eating dinner. Like
right?
so I recently heard this saying, right? Roger told me.
Oh,
He's crazy, right? But for whatever like reason it might be true.
Your wife's not gonna want you to get on.
You-
the podcast.
Right. She's gonna be like, you need to not go back.
Do you have a guy in your back pocket? And she's gonna be like, what?
Yeah, you're gonna completely
Back
throw her
pocket?
off. Don't do that to her. Don't do that to her.
No, that is. You know what? I'm not judging you by all means. Just know,
No.
my mind right now is just being blown.
But
Yeah.
see, like even then, like when I got with him,
Yeah,
I'm sure a lot of people, and I'm sure a lot of people were thinking, she was probably like,
Yeah,
talking to him
exactly.
while she was married. But no, it didn't happen like that.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah.
But
That's
it-
usually how it happens.
But it did mentally.
No,
It's not
even
that malicious, bro.
Justin.
You're
Think about it. It's subconscious. You have you're not thinking about cheating on your spouse with that person. I get it's not that malicious. You're not actually intentionally even thinking about it.
Yeah.
But it is subconscious. You have a breakup or a divorce, and you're gonna go back to that person because you know that you subconsciously lock that person in your brain because to say this might not work out.
Yeah, because
Yes, that's cheating.
I don't think that's cheating because
No.
nah.
That's so cheating. That's so cheating.
You are gonna be
You're
so
very
paranoid.
sensitive, bro.
So no, I'm not going to be paranoid because you know what? If it doesn't work out and she decides to date, that's fine. But if it doesn't work out, it's because our commitment in the marriage didn't work
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about it up until like, I mean, like I in my whole heart, we're gonna die together. Well, I mean, it might be different times, but
Yeah.
we're gonna grow up and we're gonna live old and we're
Yeah.
gonna die. If for whatever God forsaken reason, it doesn't work out and we divorce and she starts to date other people, then fine, cool, great. But if it's someone that we like both worked with, or like we like both knew, and like at the time was always at like a cookout or something, in my head I knew at some point in her brain was like, oh, we hit it off. He's great. It would be fantastic to have some sort of relationship with him.
I see where you're coming
Even
from.
if it's a little thought, because that one thought sat in the back of your brain, and then you're now gonna break up and then turn around and do that?
Yeah.
No.
I see what you're saying. I see what I see what you're saying, but how do you expect this person not to, if they're living, let's say you and your wife are married for 10 years, she knows nothing but the people around her day-to-day life,
me-
which is around you.
Even
So now you're saying because y'all are divorced, those people around y'all are off limits?
I personally,
You would say yes.
my wife and I get divorced, I would have too much, whether she cheated or I cheated. This is someone who I built a life with.
Yeah.
And I told myself that if for whatever reason, if I messed up or she's the one that messed up, I would have way too much respect for her, because that is something that we established in the beginning of our relationship, even like long before we got married, is that we are going to have respect for each other.
That's right.
When we have kids, I'm going to respect you as a mom, as a dad. Like we're going to keep each other number one. And you know what? Even if for whatever reason we break up and we're not best friends, I'm going to respect you. I'm not going to go and talk shit about you to all my friends, because that's literally like
Immature.
Yeah, it's not only immature, but you're literally destroying that person.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
But you're gonna like, I would have so much respect for my spouse or ex-spouse. Let's say we get divorced, that I would say, no, I'm not going to date this person that we both know.
Yeah.
Because that's gonna be This is not me. This is not me disrespecting you, but
This is common sense, uncommon.
exactly.
Uncommon sense. Yeah.
I'm saying I would not do that, because I know for a fact the first thought that she's going to be thinking of is, at some point in his brain, he thought, damn, this would be cool. That's the only reason why you're trying it out.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think
That's what makes it cheating.
you have a question, right?
Yes.
Wait, before you do that, I think you're just extremely insecure.
Oh, am I?
And see, insecurity.
Am I?
Yeah.
Am I?
In that
Or do I
sense.
just like respect my spouse?
No, I get you, but for her, for you to expect her to respect you back in the same sense, that's like.
That's supposed to be the establishment and foundation before you get married.
But once you have
That's what
divorce,
makes
when it's
relationship-
divorce, that's already.
Right, but that's what makes relationships last.
Yeah, but you're
It's
saying
standing
after
up-
divorce, it's like that's it, like off the table.
No, but if you establish a foundation of what this is, that doesn't mean that as soon as you get a divorce that you're going to completely just trash the other person.
Yeah, I
I'm
get
going to
you.
respect that person. I went through things and I expressed things with this person. I've said things that I've never told anyone. This one person knows me better than anyone on this entire planet. And you're going to sit here and tell me that I'm going to just throw all of that away? Absolutely not. I don't care what she does. I've told her that there are circumstances where I would be like, you know what? If you did this and this, I probably would want a divorce. I've told her. We have comfortable conversations of like,
Yeah.
if you went this far, I don't think I would. I don't think I could recover.
Yeah,
I really don't.
I feel you on that.
And then I've said, but know that no matter what you did, I wouldn't go to my mom and dad or my brother and sister or my friends and be like, can you imagine can you think of what she did?
Yeah,
All I would say is that, hey, it didn't work out, because it's nobody's business but ours. And at the end of the day, she knows me better than anyone on this planet.
Yeah.
I've said things on this podcast that is a fraction of what no one knows but her.
we'll get to know that.
Yeah.
I'm sure over the.
Okay.
All right, my question. Go for it.
You're talking about, well, this is not the question I wanted to ask you, but like you're talking about like, you know, building a foundation and the respect for your spouse and whatever. But if your spouse cheated and you guys divorced and say it was an ugly divorce, are you still going to respect her after that?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's
You're
what
still
I'm
going to
saying.
respect
Yeah.
her after
Yes.
the betrayal that you've had?
Yes, because at the end of the day, she's a human being and she knows me better than anyone else. And even if she cheated on me, she's completely capable of making mistakes. And I've already set the boundary of saying, here's my line probably at divorce. If you cross this, then I'm done. But I still love you and respect you as a human being. I'm not. That's
his perspective.
Yes.
Right.
I'm not going to turn around and say, hey, you know what? You lost my trust. So you know what? This entire thing that we built up over how many years is completely trashed and broken. No. Because let's say we have kids. You have kids. This is still the mother of my child. And we established a relationship of, you know what? Her and I are going to be adult enough to try to raise a human being.
Here's why I said insecure. And it's not to attack you. But like, if I got divorced, I wouldn't even care who she saw. Like, close to me, not close to me.
But
like,
so
that's just like.
So you think
whatever.
it's insecure that I still respect the person that I divorced?
Not respect, but like, I understand you respecting her. Yes, like that is good.
Yeah.
But for you to expect the same thing back, that's like, because then you're admitting that you're gonna be hurt if they pass that boundary.
What? Your wife, you catch a week from now, sleeping with someone else, you're not going to be hurt?
Oh yeah, but that's.
So then you're
That's-
insecure.
Wait, what?
You just said that if
After divorce.
after divorce.
We're talking about after divorce.
I'm saying, well, because if it comes from a fact of like we both know that person and it probably established while we were married, then yeah, that would be frustrating and upsetting. I'm saying that's cheating from the get-go. I'm saying if she cheats, I'm still going to love her, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to be. If I find out that she's now sleeping with my best friend, it's probably because they had a great
It was
conversation.
premeditated. Yeah.
Well, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
You're going to sit here and tell me that if you find out that your ex-wife, let's say you and your wife divorced tomorrow, and 2 months from now you find out she's sleeping with your best friend, you're going to sit here and tell me that you don't think that was premeditated?
No, yeah.
And
for
that's
sure.
not going to bother you?
After divorce, probably not as much. No. During marriage, yeah.
It's taken her 2 years to like finally get recovered, and you're still thinking like, nah, it's not going to bother me. It's easier said than done, and I guarantee you. And the only reason I can come from experience is because I've been cheated on with like I've had girlfriends in college who cheated on me with my roommate,
Yeah.
and I didn't find out until 8 months, and I was moved on and in another relationship. I've found out that in high school I was dating this girl. I found this out 3 months ago. I was dating this girl in high school. And I found out that she was at the exact same time dating my best friend, and neither one of us knew. And that pissed me off. Why?
See, that wouldn't piss me
Do you know
off.
why it pissed me off? Because that's so disrespectful.
Yeah.
Because I'm a human being, and I treated you like a human being at the time, and I deserve better than that.
No,
That's
I
why
get
it's
you.
frustrated.
I get you.
It has nothing to do with insecurity.
It's disrespect. I get you.
Right.
100%. I agree with you on that. But it's dangerous when you expect that same respect from other people, because it's not always going to be that way. People are ugly. People are grimy. People mess up. It's like to expect what you. How difficult was it for you to gain the mindset that you have now? I'm pretty sure you've had to go through a bunch of
I'm
stuff.
still going through some stuff.
Exactly. So I'm saying for you to expect someone else to be as mature, grown, and respectful as you, it's probably not going to happen.
I'm not asking for someone to be as grown and mature as respectful. I'm asking that when we establish the relationship in the very beginning, that we are on the same page and that it's important to have conversations that should this chapter or book end, that we are still on the same page, no matter what. Like, again, I have a child with this person. You end that on the same page of like, you and I are still mom and dad.
Yeah.
And you and I, we're gonna have to be best friends. We don't have to have anything to do with each other, but we're gonna be best friends because we owe it to our child.
Yeah, kids complicate a lot of things.
They do.
Yeah.
And let's say you don't have. Let's say
kids off the table though. I'm ripping that.
okay, fine. Let's say you don't have kids. You end the relationship saying, you know what? I told you from the beginning, and I'm telling you now that what happened between us is gonna stay between us, whether you cheated on me or I cheated on you. And I'm not going to go and talk trash about you, because that is totally destructing someone else as a human
Oh yeah,
being.
I agree with that.
That's all I'm saying.
I've never maliciously attacked my ex-girlfriends. Never.
Sure.
I've never done that, but I don't expect for them to do the same to me. I'm pretty sure they've talked bad about me.
That's what's beautiful about a healthy relationship, which sounds super complicated, apparently. But if all it takes is communication and talking about that and expectations. Because in like reality, when my wife and I first started dating, we've had the talk like, if we break up, I don't know if I can be friends with you, but I guarantee you, you're gonna be the one person that I know that only knows me best as of up until this point in our lives, and I'm never not an ill word is gonna come out of my mouth for you. Yeah. We had that conversation 8 months into our relationship, and then we get married, and now it's like, oh, okay, well, should anything happen, or like this, here's our line, but whether we have kids or not, you're a human being, and at one point I shared a life with you.
Got you.
That's it.
Guys, what do y'all think? I'm very curious. Do y'all agree with Justin in the sense that after a breakup or divorce, those boundaries those boundaries
pump me up.
those boundaries should still be met, or those standards should still be met, or do you think all of that is off the table at the brink of divorce and separation? And with that being said, leave it down in the comment section below. I'm gonna pass it to Vanessa because we haven't been letting her talk. I mean, Veronica.
I remember.
Going back to my question. Okay. So
sorry.
It's gonna be in the same field though, like.
Oh, here we go again.
So I might heat you up again.
No, you know what? I'm just passionate. I'm not angry. I'm passionate.
Veronica.
So, you know what? I'll just
before you
before I ask him.
Just flip the table.
I mean, within a breakup and within divorces, there's different scenarios. And it's not all the same way of ending. But like, for example, the way I, ended up being in a relationship with a guy that we both knew and was typically my ex-husband's friend. When you find out that, your ex-spouse is in a relationship with this guy, would you find it as a backstab and like bro code being violated for that guy?
Well, forget the bro code. My immediate thought.
Because apparently that was like a big thing when we got.
Well, no, my immediate thought is this: something had to have happened. Well, also it depends on the time frame, because if like we get divorced and then like 6 years go by and then all of a sudden they're talking, I'm like, oh, that's cool.
That probably happened.
Yeah.
Within the last 3 years.
Right.
Yeah.
But if we get divorced or we break up, I'd say a max a year and a half. Okay. And it's someone that we like, even a year. And it's someone that we both, so like my wife and I work at the same place.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So like if I found out that a year after a breakup or a divorce that she's now talking to the person that we worked with, that they like were super cool with each other, then I'm like, they had not saying that that she was like mentally cheating on me, but she had a premeditated thought that like, hey, this would be really cool. And then just like shut out. Didn't? Right. She had to have though.
What if that ignited at the point of like, okay, well, this isn't gonna work out
because I'm
married. This person. No. No, the marriage.
Oh, okay.
The marriage isn't gonna work out. This person's pretty cool.
Why did she like?
This person's pretty cool as a friend.
No, it doesn't work out that way. Because let's be honest, between you and me, this is gonna also answer your question.
But we're guys
don't seek that way and look at it that way.
Yeah.
Guys, if I'm being very honest, are looking to be friends to find an open crack in an open door. So whether, let's say, you were completely innocent or not, I guarantee you that's what was going on in his brain. Like,
I agree with you on
that. My
that.
wife and I have mutual friends, but it's usually 99% of the time when we're hanging out, it's all of us together.
Yeah.
But if there's like a, hey, bestie, no. Or like, hey, like, you're so cool. Like, I just feel so close to you. That's bullcrap.
I don't agree with guys having girlfriends. Because guys are they're mentally programmed different.
Looking for that crack.
The crack. And the timing, too. But for women, I think it's different, though. I think women are programmed different.
Well, I mean, what did you think of him when you guys were dating?
A friend.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I believe that, bro. I believe that.
Okay. Was he
I believe
cool?
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long after you guys got divorced or like broke up did you guys like start
talking?
Not even talking. Just being like, hey, what's up? Just checking in on you.
Like exactly a year later.
A year later.
A year and a few months later.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't necessarily happen 2 months after.
Zoomed in.
You had that. No, but I mean.
That boy was like,
open
Alarm
up.
go off. Yeah, all right. It's done.
It's time.
Let's go.
Yeah, I think you're thinking from a male perspective too, which I mean, we can't blame you. You're a male.
Right.
You're a male. You're a male.
And I
So.
guess that's true though.
It does
because
make
I think
sense now.
I think I can also agree with you. My wife is super like innocent for her age. Like she was homeschooled. She was very like sheltered.
My
and things
wife,
like that.
too.
She was super sheltered, and so like when it comes to things like that, she's like, "There's no way." And I'm like, dude. Not only do I know how this guy's thinking and this guy, but the guy that's talking to you right now, even just for like, hey, just checking in from your hometown, he's looking for a crack. Like I guarantee you, like no guy does that, especially
Yeah.
if they know they're married.
You're very naive if you think.
Yeah.
That.
Okay. So did he ever do that while you guys were married or during the time of your breakup before that year? Like just to check in and be like, hey.
No.
No? Interesting.
You're looking at me like that.
No, I'm just, that's interesting.
No, but for real, like,
Super interesting.
yeah.
I mean, because she could be, maybe he did, but maybe she was just too naive to even like.
And
Well,
the only reason
maybe.
why I say no, because he was in a relationship himself.
Okay.
He wasn't single.
Okay, that doesn't mean anything for him though. That doesn't. Yeah, I know where you're going. That doesn't mean anything for him.
So, okay.
Listen,
so,
we're not talking about him, bro. We're talking about.
No, I know, but it is. I mean, at the end of the day, it takes two big people.
It takes
so
two.
whether you were like, no, I was completely innocent, I guarantee you, the person
wasn't.
that you probably, or the person that you got a divorce with, is like, there was a thought in someone's brain that established that, and that's upsetting. That's like it hurt. Like it's disrespectful. Like it's like what? Whether and like you bring up guy code. I don't care whether you're a guy or a girl. It breaks the fact of like, okay, well, this is premeditated. This is messed up. Like we had an established commitment. So like, yeah.
This is, oh
You
my
see how I brought this down, and I'm like no longer super upset. It's because I'm just like, focus, focus.
No, I did not expect the conversation to go this route.
No, super exciting.
Yeah.
Also, I'm super excited and glad that you opened up. And I gotta say, you're super, super awesome. And
Thank you.
I know that everything's gonna work out for you. I really do.
I hope so.
No, I know so. You've got an amazing head on your shoulders, and I can tell that you've grown, and you're really good. And I hope that my challenging questions didn't like upset you or anything.
No.
And if anything, I hope that you
Be intrigued to come
yeah,
back.
or like, and then you like intrigue it to be like, you know what, that question that he asked me, it was, you know what, wrong, but now it's made me think of this. Or like, hey, this question was a good question, it's made me think of this. Like just to at least help you be like, you know what, I've been able to tune into myself a little bit better, and I hope people watching have been able to like actually like, hey, you know what, maybe I should ask myself these questions.
Yeah, we should probably have your ex on the podcast and ask him what he was
Oh,
thinking.
no. Y'all imagine me right now. I would like smash the mug and be like, why did you do it? No, but no.
Well, I mean, like when he found out,
Your husband, your ex-husband.
my ex-husband,
Oh,
when
okay,
he found out that, you know, me and my, not my ex, but like when he found out we were in a relationship, like he did call me up and he was like, you know, how could you do this to me? And I was like, do what? Like he saw it like as a backside, like a betrayal. And I was like, I mean, I don't know, maybe I guess I have my own way of thinking things.
The only reason I would see it as a backstab and a betrayal isn't because it's like a friend or a best friend. It's the fact of like
He was in the circle.
the fact that I can connect the dots and say, did it
Is the
close?
camera still recording?
Okay. The fact that I can connect the dots and say, this probably didn't happen after the breakup is why it's, and I guarantee you, in your head, it did,
Yeah.
but I guarantee you to him, he probably connected the dots and was like, I know that I was super shitty and I threw out the divorce word and I did this and I did that, but she had to have premeditated the thought of being with this guy who is also like a person that I know. Like that's the part that's the backstabbing. I think, at least coming from a guy's perspective.
Yeah.
And because I've been on the end of being cheated on and like it being super personal and super close, and then it not also being super personal and close. But it was the fact of like there was guys that I was in a relationship with a girl and I got cheated on, and I had no idea who the guy was, but I found out like 2 months later that they were already dating. The disrespectful part is the fact that I probably like now know they were talking while we were still in a relationship.
Yeah. I feel you. Like, I understand what you're saying.
You're smiling, so you're gonna say something.
But I agree with her.
Well, of course you do.
I agree with her.
Welcome
But
to the Common Podcast.
that's going to end it for today. Not where I expected it to go, but
The
nonetheless,
tanker though, or no?
I don't know. We'll have to see what they think.
We'll just have to talk about how Roger's wrong, and we'll just talk about something. I'm always the one that's wrong in the podcast, so I'll just
No, you're not, bro. I have so many people in my DMs protect you. Don't even do that.
I'll just play victim to get more views.
Yeah, for sure. Jeez. I get attacked from people because of him. Like, you shouldn't be, you know, whatever. Anyways,
Well,
do y'all have anything else?
Thank you so much for coming.
Honestly.
I really appreciate it.
I kind of feel like a weight off my shoulders too.
Do you? I'm so happy.
Yeah, and what he said is like, I think that it's going to help you in the future. Ask yourself the difficult questions that maybe that you just try to ignore and brush off, because that's what we really need to do. We need to ask ourselves and really test ourselves what is really the truth, and that's the only way we're going to come into terms with those things.
Is it common sense or is it
It's
really
common
not?
sense to me.
Well, apparently uncommon to me. Yeah, whatever. Anyway,
All right, guys. Well, thank you all for tuning in. If y'all enjoyed it, make sure to go check out Veronica's TikTok.
I need a drink.
It's gonna be in the description below. Right,
Veronica, wait, let's go do something. All right, cool.
It's gonna be in the description below. Also, the majority of the people that are watching this podcast, y'all have not subscribed. Shame on you. Make sure you take 2 seconds out of your day, hit the subscribe button, and share with at least one
Don't
person.
shame on you. I disagree with Roger.
Here we
Always.
go.
Keep watching and
Another
listening.
disagreement.
And we'll catch y'all next time. Bye, guys.
Later, guys.
On the track.